This is from Ron. When should I be using the sim shorts, and that is the Roka version of core shorts, versus a regular suit? Every other swim? Rarely? Just trying to get a feel for when I should use them. I don't want to rely on their flotation. So I have some thoughts on this, but first of all, what do you think of Ron's question there?
I think for anyone, whether they're using a sim short, core short, any type of wetsuit to get ready for a race and they've never experienced it, I think it's a good idea to use it in the pool if you cannot access open water to try it out. Especially a wetsuit, because a wetsuit's going to be restricting in the chest. It's going to be restricting in the neck if you're not used to it. I think I wore a wetsuit. I've been doing the sport for 28 years, but never restricted me in the neck until I read someone say, oh my gosh, this wetsuit is so constricting in the neck. And I'm like, really? I never noticed that. Well, then all of a sudden I started noticing it. And I'm like, it's nothing. It's all in my mind because I've done this for 20 years already. So it's good to test out, again, any equipment. And if you can only test it out in the pool, test it out in the pool. I think let's specifically talk about a core short. It's like wearing a pull buoy. So if you don't have a core short, wear the pull buoy. I think pull buoys are very, very valuable to help, especially less experienced swimmers get that buoyancy they need, get their legs on to float on top of the water, get their upper body stronger. And especially if you're going to, if you know you're going to be wearing a wetsuit in pretty much all of your events, always wear the pull buoy because that kind of simulates what wearing a wetsuit is going to be like. The one thing about it, and I've never experienced this, is the chlorine or the chemicals in the pool impact the wetsuit. I can't really tell you how because I don't really remember how, but they say don't wear the wetsuit in a chlorinated pool. Doing it a handful of times is not going to kill it because that's what I've done. I used to actually teach 2 hours at a time worth of kids swim lessons wearing my wetsuit because the pool used to be that cold indoors. So myself and my friend who used to teach the kids in the pool, and we were there for 2 or 3 hours at a time, we would be doing that in our wetsuit. And I never had any issues with any disintegration or whatever of the wetsuit. So I would use them, get used to them, get comfortable, understand, give yourself confidence as many times as you need to. It's probably only going to be a couple times. And then I wouldn't rely on them. I would make sure you're swimming enough, take the proper lessons, get proper stroke technique from me by sending me a swim video for analysis, and learn to swim efficiently and confidently without the use of a wetsuit material, core short, sim short.
Ironman triathlon races have a minimum water temperature that athletes will be allowed to wear a wetsuit. The swim portion becomes, quote, wetsuit legal when the water temperature is at or below 76.1. The swim portion becomes wetsuit optional when water temperatures are between 76.2 and 83.8, and that's Ironman WTC. Now, for USAT, I believe here, yes, each age group participant shall be permitted to wear a wetsuit without penalty in any event sanctioned by USA Triathlon up to and including a water temperature of 78 degrees. So there is a difference there. There are going to be very few races that I can think of or be aware of, and sometimes it seems rare, that it won't be wetsuit legal. Unless you're, in a tropical area, if you're in Hawaii, something along those lines, or maybe if they have one in Vegas or Florida, depends on the body of water too and how warm it gets. Most likely it'll always be, wetsuit legal. Is that agreeable?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you asked because when I moved to Georgia in 2016, my first triathlon in Georgia was I think it was that September of 2016. And it was in Tougaloo State Park. And I got there and no one had a wetsuit in the vicinity because the water temperature was like mid 80s. And what I was surprised by was no one was panicking about not wearing a wetsuit. So I'm coming from Colorado where it was always wetsuit legal. Very, very rare times where it wouldn't be below 76.1 degrees. And athletes, there'd always be athletes, again, in Facebook groups checking like the Ironman Boulder water temperature, the Boulder 70.3 water temperature when it was on the verge of possibly going over 76 degrees, and they'd panic. And so I'm in this new place where no one's panicking about a wetsuit. It was just a given. You live in the South, your chances are pretty high you're not going to need a wetsuit in a triathlon where I live in Georgia. But I always do prepare athletes now that I coach locally that if they do an end of the season one, maybe September, for sure October, November, chances are there's a possibility that it could be cold enough. But definitely I encourage them to invest in sim shorts versus the full body wetsuit, because it's probably not that cold where they need it for warmth. They just need a wetsuit for the buoyancy. Ron, you just need to try it out. You know, there's no right or wrong. Just do what's comfortable for you. Just know that there could be some disintegration of the material. But I also encourage everyone out there. There's so many resources locally and online at this day and age compared to when I started. Find local help, get comfortable in the water. It's only going to bring you confidence. So when you do get to an event that you assume is going to be wetsuit legal and it's not, you don't panic and freak out, and you're comfortable swimming without the buoyancy of a wetsuit.
And prices can be as low as $80. I see on the Roka Sim shorts, SIM, and then up to 100 and some $30, I guess, depends on the type you get here or the size. And then very similar prices when it comes to the core shorts. So I think it's a cool little investment and a nice little thing to have in your swim bag personally.